People think space is the killer. It's not. The most violent part of a lunar mission is the moment you come home. Out there, Orion looks calm, almost safe. But this calm is a lie you're allowed to believe only because nothing is touching you yet. Stay to the end, and you'll understand why Artemis isn't really proving we can reach the moon. It's proving we can survive the impact of returning. This heat shield is not armor. It's a disposable layer, designed to be destroyed on purpose, so the crew doesn't get destroyed by accident. These tests aren't dramatic for show. They're trying to recreate a kind of heat that does not exist in normal human life, because re-entry is controlled violence. Inside this capsule, there's no room to escape your own body. If something goes wrong, you don't run, you sit there while physics decides. A sealed visor isn't heroic. It's a reminder that the environment outside is instantly lethal, and the only thing separating you from it is engineering. And the ocean isn't a soft landing. It's cold, heavy, indifferent, waiting at the end like a final confirmation that you made it, or didn't. The return begins quietly. Separation alignment, small decisions made by computers, and people who know there's no second attempt. Earth grows larger, but it doesn't feel like home anymore. It feels like a target, because you're about to hit its atmosphere at brutal speed. Everything depends on the face of that shield. Not the rocket, not the mission patch. One surface, one angle, one job. Don't fail. Vibration tests look boring until you understand what they mean. The vehicle will be shaken like it's being ripped apart, and it still has to work. Thermal tests don't simulate comfort. They simulate punishment, because returning from the moon turns a spacecraft into a furnace. The straps and latches aren't routine. They're there because your body will try to tear itself away from the seat under acceleration and shock. At first, re-entry looks beautiful. Just a faint glow. That's the last time it looks beautiful before it turns into an attack. This isn't movie fire. This is real plasma air turned into an ionized sheath by speed, wrapping the capsule like a burning cocoon. The atmosphere isn't a thin layer you pass through. It's a stacked weapon. Pressure, heat, turbulence. Each layer hits differently. Time compresses on the way down. Minutes become dense, loaded, irreversible, because the vehicle is moving too fast for human reaction. In the cabin, there's nothing to do but endure. You can't see outside. You can't feel progress. You just feel force. The glow intensifies, the sheath thickens, and now the capsule isn't flying. It's surviving friction, like a meteor that refuses to die. This is where the heat stops being a number and becomes a behavior. The plasma moves, crawls, lashes, because the airflow is trying to peel the vehicle open. Back on Earth, the smartest people in the room don't look excited. They look quiet, because this phase is mostly waiting and hoping the design was right. Antennas can reach across space, but not through plasma. When the capsule is wrapped in ionized air, it can become unreachable. That's the nightmare. The vehicle is fine, the crew is alive, and yet the world can't hear them. Silence doesn't mean death, but it feels like it. This shield is meant to burn away. Ablation is sacrificed by design, material turning to gas so the heat doesn't reach the people. Look at that test flame and imagine it lasting, biting, relentless. The capsule doesn't touch the atmosphere. It collides with it. Particles streak past like sparks, but they're not sparks. They're the visible edge of a process that can cook metal, shatter composites, and end missions. Under G-forces, breathing becomes work. Your chest feels heavy, your vision narrows. And you still have to trust the numbers you can't see. The light changes because the flow changes. If the flow becomes unstable, heat concentrates. And concentrated heat is how margins disappear. Down below is water, but it's not comforting. It's simply the only place left to put you that won't kill you harder. Recovery aircraft and ships can chase the landing zone, but they can't stop physics. They're not rescue in this moment. They're witnesses. The glow starts to fade, and people exhale too early. Because the fire ending doesn't mean the danger ended. It only means it transformed. This surface looks ruined because it is. That's the point. The heat shield comes back scarred, so the crew doesn't come back as ash. Mission control waits without drama. No cheering. Just eyes, hands, and discipline. Because a single mistake here is final. Even after peak heating, you can still lose control. Re-entry isn't one moment. It's a chain, and any link can snap. Then the capsule breaks through cloud layers, like it's returning from another world. Because it is. And now the last fragile systems take over. Parachutes are where spaceflight becomes humiliatingly simple. Fabric, lines, and air. After all that technology, survival hangs on cloth. Every strap and seam matters. If one line fails, loads redistribute, and a controlled descent can become a spinning fall. That's why they test parachutes obsessively, because there is no backup landing once you're under canopy over open ocean. Look how small the capsule is now. Not powerful, not fast, just heavy, dangling under parachutes like a weight that wants to drop. The ocean gets closer, and suddenly the mission feels less like exploration and more like impact management. Because that's what it is. Recovery teams move into position, but they're too late to change the outcome. They can only respond to it. Splashdown looks gentle on video. It isn't. It's a hard slap at the end of a long beating, and it has injured crews in history. Now you're floating, but floating isn't safe yet. Water can flip you, swamp you, drag you, especially if conditions are rough. Humans next to the capsule look tiny, because they are. And that's the truth of the whole mission. Humans are the weakest component. Hooks latch, lines tighten, winches pull. Spaceflight ends as heavy manual work, because survival still requires hands. As the capsule rises, the burn marks become undeniable. That's not dirt. That's the record of atmospheric violence written into the shell. Up close, the texture is ugly and real. Char, cracking, scorching. This is what successful looks like when success means not dead. Night, floodlights, wet metal. This doesn't look like a victory parade. It looks like an autopsy that ended with a pulse instead of a report. And when you cut back to the fire tests, the message sharpens. This mission is built around a single terrifying requirement: endure heat without control. Empty seats are the most brutal image, because you can finally picture it. 4 people strapped in here while the outside world became plasma. Training for this isn't inspiring, it's conditioning, teaching the body to function under stress it was never meant to experience. Then comes the quiet after. Not celebration. Quiet. Because the scary part of Artemis is how close normal is to disaster. The capsule sits on deck like a survivor that can't speak. The damage is the proof, and the proof is hard to look at. Back in space, everything looks peaceful again. And that's the trap. It makes you forget that the true hazard is waiting at Earth. Engineers inspect the shield because they're reading a story in the scars, where heat concentrated, where flow shifted, where margins got thin. Tests exist because guesses kill people. They burn material until it fails, so it won't fail when there are lives inside the capsule. Re-entry footage should not feel exciting. It should feel sobering, because it's the closest a crew comes to being erased by environment. Tracking dishes point upward like prayers. During the hottest moments, the mission can become partially blind, and blind is where fear lives. Inside the cabin, you don't get to see the view, you get pressure, heat, noise, force, and the knowledge that there is no exit. Parachutes are the last mercy. After fire, the mission ends with air and fabric, because even the most advanced spacecraft still has to ask the atmosphere for permission. Waves slam, the capsule bobs, and only then can you start using the word returned. Not before, not during the fire. The shield scars are the mission's real trophy. Artemis doesn't bring back rocks in this phase. It brings back evidence that the system held. Recovery lights glare off wet surfaces, and the mood stays clinical. Because everyone knows, one day they'll do this with people on board. We call Earth home, but from a lunar return it becomes a hazard zone with a thin, safe corridor. Miss it, and the atmosphere doesn't forgive you. This is why Artemis matters, not because the moon is hard to reach, but because returning demands that you survive a controlled crash through fire. That glow is the signature of the whole program, not discovery, not romance, just physics, heat, and the price of coming back alive. The ocean calms down, but the truth stays sharp. Space doesn't have to kill you, Earth can do it on the way in. Orion drifts against the planet like a small object daring a giant system. And every mission is the same dare: can we go farther and still return? So if you remember one thing, remember this. The moon is not the scariest part of Artemis. The scariest part is re-entry, because that's where the mission stops being a journey and becomes a verdict.